I was one of the principal writers in the Coyote Hustle song. And so, I grew up watching Wile E. Coyote, and the underdog, and always trying to devise these incredible plans, and and catch the roadrunner, but he can't, and I could relate to that. I could relate to that idea of who Wile E. Coyote, the super genius, is, and so on another note, I could really relate to the coyotes that I sometimes see strolling down the street, and when you stop to think about it, it could be scary, but when you stop to think about it, it's like, okay, why is this coyote here? Okay, and we live near a bunch of rolling hills, and there's a bunch of coyote dens in these hills, and we forget that this once was a space where these animals roamed and survived, and so we built on top of their home, much like during westward expansionism and during the period of colonization in general, the Europeans and then the Americans, expanded westward at the expense of indigenous people and animals as well. And so when you think about that, and you relate that to the coyote, and the coyote becomes a symbol of that resistance, then the idea of the coyote changes. And and for me, I become that coyote, and I start thinking like that coyote, and thinking about ways to subvert, and thinking of ways to survive.
You will never see me cry. I will howl at the wind, take my song to the sky. You will never know what it's like to be me. You will never see me cry. If you're still in the night, won't feed me, I will do what I must to survive.
Something that you may not know about Coyote Hustle is that it's really influenced by the music that that I was influenced by as a young man, as a teenager, in my late teens, and listening to the Smiths, especially Johnny Marr's guitar work, and the way he would compose and put together various guitar tracks. And so on the Coyote Hustle, I'm trying to emulate that idea that Johnny Marr introduced to the world, and do it with one guitar. So I'm playing a bunch of different parts. Typically, I would have played an acoustic part, that would have been just the chords, and then I would have played that part on top of it, right? But given the parameters that we put on ourselves from the beginning, I had to compose a different guitar part, and at the same time leave space and not occupy so much space, because it's easy to overplay. And so when I was writing that song, I went through a bunch of different versions of it, and finally I got to a point where I was like, okay, I feel like the voice is shining. The bass is doing its thing, the percussion, everything is in its place. I felt really good about it.
I will do what I must to survive.
So yeah, so that little opening riff for Coyote Hustle, I guess there's a lot of songs Smith songs I could relate it to, but The Boy with the Thorn in His Side would be one. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Right? Boy with a Thorn in His Side, or even like the Beatles. Mother Nature's Son, right? So it's that guitar, it's that 12-string guitar thing. It just kind of puts you in that space to play those kind of things. And so I had it, and I was like, messing around with different riffs and stuff, and I came up with this. right? And I actually have a capo on it. It's from the on the second fret, so it's a little in a different key, but that's the idea. It was to just kind of like create a nice little melody that would a soothing melody almost that would be such a great contrast, and kind of a poppy melody. You know, that would be such a great contrast to this really serious story about this animal who's going to come down and eat your pets because it needs to survive, and and that's ultimately its response to us encroaching upon its natural habitat.